Here's a situation we're coming up on. It's not necessarily an issue, but it's something I would like to get changed. If you go to the item profiles, let me load this down. If you go to inventory and item and find the item, it brings up by default the all. And the all includes all of these up here. And what we're coming in confusing is when we look up a part number, say we'll use that one for example, 8400. And this is one of the things I don't like about the search is I thought originally that if you clicked on the column and type in 8400, it would find 8400 in that column. What it actually does, I think there's a search field under the data dictionary, and it searches from like 4 different columns. So if there's 8400 in this column, it'll pull it up. Anyway, it brings in a lot of different stuff. Well, you can see there's a lot of discontinued part numbers in here, and that's one of the things that's confusing is there's some of these that are active part numbers and some that are discontinued, and it kind of brings them all in together. And on a sales order, it's not so bad because you can't add a discontinued part number to a sales order or a purchase order, which is a good thing. But you look at the 8400 here, and if I'm looking for a shirt and I can't find it over here and just keep going through and trying to find it, whatever, there's a lot of discontinued and active part numbers that are kind of clustering everything up. And what I'm proposing is that on this view in the all field, that we can have all these up here except discontinued. We can still have the phase out and everything else, but if we could get rid of the discontinued off of this view, that way we're not subject to grab it and look for it or whatever. The other thing I wanted to look at was on the discontinued tab itself. When I click over here, here's a list of the discontinued items. And I won't click on it. I've clicked on it earlier, and there's like 16,000 items. When I say view all, it takes it a good while. This is all discontinued items that was brought over from the old system. What I did this morning is I went through and I said, okay, before I asked the team to delete this, I wanted to see what was in stock. So I brought them all up, sorted by units in stock, and we had quite a few items that were in stock that I did a inventory adjustment, got those out of there. So everything in here now, there is no inventory to worry about, so we can actually, if we could, purge everything that's discontinued. We'll be adding more discontinued items to it later, but this is imported in from the old system and it's basically junk. This will help free up a bunch of part numbers, and it would definitely, by discontinuing these, by purging these, it will get them out of this all field. But as we start discontinuing part numbers, because we're always phasing out part numbers, I don't want the new discontinued part numbers to end up over here. Basically, when I look at a discontinued part number, it's no longer to be ordered or sold. We've discontinued it and it's moved out. It goes over here, and we shouldn't have to see it over here. It's not a good part number anymore. Phase out, I actually haven't tested that yet, but I'm glad it's there because we have a lot of manufacturers that say come May, we're going to discontinue a particular part number or whatever. I'd like to be able to say, okay, click phase those out. When you go to purchase them, you'll be able to see where it's being phased out. So that's a good thing. The other thing on this right here that I was looking at was we got the basics. All this looks really good in stock. What I did find out is when something says it's in stock, it'll say 5. I'm not sure this is going to be one. Yeah, this is one. It tells me there's 4 in the main and 1 in the Dallas, and the Marriott doesn't have any. So that's a total of 5. Which is good. It tells me that we have 5 total, but I hope maybe in the future, nothing pressing, that when we say there's in stock, we can have a 5, then maybe 3 columns afterwards, and 1 for each location where we can have the Marriott, Dallas, and Grand Prairie. That way when a customer service rep is looking up something and it says we have 5 of these in stock, we don't think that, because we're in Grand Prairie, that we can go out there on the shelf and there's 5 of them in stock, because we just saw that there's only 4 here and 1 at the Dallas store. Nothing pressing. It's just one of those things that, I guess we need another column for wish list, but it's something I would, like to see in the future. One of the other things that we're looking at is like item code. We're using this right now as UPCs. And you can see this is actually UPC for this one. And we have a lot of part numbers that have just generic numbers that we entered to get them in the system. And as they come in, we update the UPC. I've yet to find a way in IS that when a part number, when an item comes in, and this one does actually have a UPC, but say this was just a regular body armor that had a UPC code. There is no way for me to change this. It's all locked out. We need some kind of utility that allows us to change the item code. And I think it can be done because the unique identifier would be this one. This is always going to be the number that going to tie back to. So I would think that there'd be a way to change the item code and update it on all the documents. You can see there's several columns here, and what I'm missing is, and I'll bring up something else that I know is a good number. We'll bring up this one. We have on the item profile, we did add custom fields. We have vendor part number and GST part number and brand code. We're still missing a few more custom fields, and to make it a little bit faster so I don't waste a bunch of your time, let me go to System Manager and over here to Customize Data Dictionary, and over here System Tables. Now under System Tables, and I know all you guys know where this is at, inventory item, and I know these are everything that can be populated on the field, and we have these that are show on list. The custom fields that we added in, you know, there's a vendor part number, which we show the brand, we show the GST part number. What I'd also like is to show the color and the size. These are important as far as I know when we build matrices, these are all required for the matrix. They're all attributes of that part number. So I'd like to get these added in. I'm going to show you a view of what I had in Everest that we did away with. This was my typical view, and it had everything that I needed to import part numbers into Everest. You know, it had your vendor part number, which is sometimes different from your GST part number. That's why it was critical for us to add those. Code, which is UPC, item description, color, size, web enabled. That's not real important to me right now. In the future, it will be. And then the item number. And the way we create a part number, a lot of manufacturers create a part number, is this part number is actually attributes. If you look at the S315V-011- small what it actually is there's a model field, which is the S315V right here, dash the color code, which in this case is 011, which is actually our color code 04, dark navy, and the size, which is small regular, which is right here. If we actually look at another part number, it'll make more sense. I should have brought that one up first. If you look at these part numbers, these are what we base it off of. Blauer is our largest supplier that we deal with, the manufacturer. When we look at these part numbers, you see 8560-0428. What it is the model number, the color code 04, which is Blauer's dark navy, and the size 28. Now we created a custom column here for all these blue ones, or custom fields, just like we created in IS. And these are all the attributes that we use to populate the matrix group. When your team made me the utility that turned inventory items into matrix items, which I used heavily. That was an awesome little utility. It made my job a whole lot easier. I'm hoping in the future we can also do that with IS. But you can see these are all the attributes that populate and make this part number. It's also what made this matrix group up, so I could add the items to it, update prices in bulk and everything else. But if you look at the columns, these are all pretty critical for me as far as knowing the item type, the basic fields here, the last cost, the sale price, unit of measure, default manufacturer, the brand, code. Commissionables not that big. As far as view, it's something that I import in because that's where we figured commissions and commission rates. And total sale, I'm sorry, sales weight. This is actually sales weight. And this is actually wrong. You can see everything we do is in pounds, not kilograms. I think default in Everest is kilograms. But scrolling on along, you can see, I had a lot more stuff that I really didn't need, but from time to time it was stuff that I needed to look up and research. It showed me the inventory posting group, who created it, the date it was created, and purchase and sales quantities. This, a lot of times when someone tells me, hey, I got 4 of these in stock, I can sit here and say, well, we've purchased, if we go through the system, we can see, well, we purchased 996 of them, we've sold 990. That should tell me we should have 6 in stock. I'm seeing we got 2. I can kind of come back in and see, the history of it and what's going on. Unfortunately, there's some issues when we imported stuff in. We've purchased 266 and sold 303. We still have 5 in stock. But that may have been that we've, imported in 38 of these or whatever to come up with that number. So that when I see more sales and purchases, I know that's probably where we imported it in or an inventory adjustment was made. But these are fields that are pretty critical to me as far as being able to see in IS over here. Item code is something that it's unique identifier. It means nothing to me. That's something we could remove and get the vendor part number, GST part number, all that stuff back over here into the into the view. I know there's an email that went out about making this faster, populate faster, and all that, and that is important. That's why I'm hoping that adding the different fields doesn't really slow it down too much. We only grab 150 records at a time, so I'm hoping that that's not a big deal. But what is a big deal right now is getting these discontinued out of there and purging them completely from the discontinued field. So any part number from this day forward that we discontinue will populate over here and not on this view.